Hello. Oh, my hair is a little. It's a wet hair blog. Friday, November 27th, 2020. This is the day of my third cycle of chemotherapy. Um, and I think yesterday, I didn't record yesterday. I got a few things done. One of the things that I'm still having to do is just completely finish like closing up my office, which is very, very close to getting done. I have a giant chair that is there at the office that I need to bring back to my place. And because of lockdown, there's some challenges, I think, around the sort of logistics of that, but we'll get that sorted out soon. Um, Oh, and right, to get, I've actually had some irritation around my biliary tube insertion site in my skin, and the nurse a couple days ago was concerned about it, and I could feel some pain, so I was a little bit concerned about it as well. But the nurse yesterday said that it's getting better, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I'll have it checked out on Friday when I have the disconnect for the 5FU pump, which will be connected to me later today. So, I think the thing that I wanted to talk about today is this vlog or this channel of me telling my story. That it's my story of well, it picks up, I guess, right? It picked up in my story of when I have been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and how it's been since then. But I don't know that I necessarily also just want to think about it as, my vlog going through pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer is part of what I am experiencing right now. It's a part of what's going to be influencing, have a lot to do with how I am living and what it's going to mean for me moving forward. But it's also about me, and I'm not my pancreatic cancer. I don't know. Like, pancreatic cancer is a part of me. It's part of my story, but it's not my whole story. So, that's something that I've been kind of thinking about, right? That yes, this channel is me talking about my experiences, and hopefully for folks who out there who might come across this, who have maybe in their experiences with pancreatic cancer, which is going to be unique to their own, is going to maybe have some details and information, and just know what my experience is in this. And again, it is going to be very different based on the fact that I'm in Canada. I'm in Toronto, Canada, of all places, where I have access to a couple of world-class cancer centers with OHIP, public health. And I am so incredibly fortunate for so many different reasons. And then on the personal level as well, like just having the support that I do and have had, just it's just been a remarkable experience so far. If there's a a yin and a yang, there's always the other side to things, and as crappy and as shitty as my diagnosis is, the other side of it is that in some ways, like I'm positioned in a way, and very favorably to a lot of other folks who can be in my situation. So just wanted to mention that first and foremost, and also too that that I don't want to be, and this is part of what I'm working through, right? I don't want to be defined as that person with cancer, that person with pancreatic cancer. Oh, yeah, there is definitely, there's truth to that. There's definite truth to that. But I'm also Mio, and I'm also someone who still has, or this is kind of hard because and maybe this is an ego thing, right? Where I don't want to be defined as just the person with cancer. Yeah, it's part of my story, but do I want to be defined by it? Do I want to be seen, you know it's a hard thing, and I think that you know I want to be conscious, moving forward on this channel, to talk about myself, and other things that are apart from my pancreatic cancer experience. And I yeah, like, and so that's and for myself too, that's, I think, very important for me to focus on. So I just thought I'd mention that because it's on my mind. I know that didn't sound particularly cohesive. It's not feeling particularly cohesive for me as well. But maybe, it's something that I'm thinking about because, as I go into my third cycle of chemotherapy, and I mean, let's face it, like they're like hitting me with some pretty potent stuff. And I feel it. I feel it in my energy. I feel it in the big thing is neuropathy. My hands don't feel as steady. I'm not able to sort of like grip things, or like, so to write things out by hand and things, depending on what's happening, is hard. Or even being able to cook. I love cooking, and just being able to hold a knife, and or to manipulate things quickly enough to be able to cook is depending on how sort of like steady I'm feeling, because there's the neuropathy, which is, I think people experience pain. So I think as a result of the oxaliplatin, which is one of the chemotherapy drugs that is part of the FOLFIRINOX treatment that I'm getting, that comes with sensitivity, so cold sensitivity. And I think I've mentioned that for the first few days after treatment, like it's just like everything cold, like feels like 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 it's burning, cold burning. And this time around, it stuck around a little bit longer, and I still have some sensitivity to certain cold things. So if I grab something from the freezer, if I don't have gloves on, I'll just like, notice that I'm feeling it that much more. And then there's sort of the unsteadiness, and I'm not sure about the unsteadiness. I probably should have talked to my oncologist about it this week. I noticed that the more anxious I was feeling, the more kind of shaky I was. And so maybe, I could have also kind of mentioned it to I mentioned that to the oncologist, but maybe should have mentioned it also from the questioning of, like, maybe from a dosage standpoint as well. I don't know. It's probably a continued conversation to have. So some of that is hard, right? To kind of notice. I want to grab that glass of water. Maybe I should grab it with two hands instead of one. Do I, I'm thinking like, oh, I'd like to write a note to somebody. Um, Maybe I'll just take a few deep breaths and just see if my hands will kind of like settle down so that it doesn't shake as much. It's so everything kind of, some things that I would have taken for granted takes some thought, and especially the use of your hands is yeah, the same thing with cooking. Like I mentioned, I love cooking. And yesterday, because chemo starts today, I was like, oh, like it'd be nice if I cooked dinner tonight. But just my hands were kind of feeling a little bit shaky, and I was feeling tired. I was like, oh, maybe, I'll just forego cooking and maybe we'll do something easy. But I kind of sat on it for a couple hours, and my hands sort of settled down. So I made some really delicious cream of mushroom soup with some chicken in it. So I'm glad that I was able to do that. But yeah, like it's not like this automatic, like I just get up and, get these things done. So that's been also challenging. I don't know if there was something else that I wanted to talk about apart from, yeah, I mean, I think, I made a video before this saying that up until I started chemo, I was very consistent in being able to record daily videos, or, you know, pretty much daily videos. But I think after, chemo, like a lot's changed. In terms of like my energy, in terms of my routines, in terms of like not knowing what to expect, what's happening when, like that kind of stuff. Also like a lot of appointments and things too. So yeah, so the videos will keep coming as long as I can make them. It might not be as frequent as it was at the beginning. That's I just wanted to. I think that's the video that I hope I got across in the previous video that would have posted on the 27th. And I'm sure this one is going to follow, very shortly after that. Yeah, so I guess that's the update for today. I think so. Part of like what I've been worried about too this week is that our little cat, our smallest cat, her name is Sega, she's had she has a loose tooth, and she needs to get some dental surgery for that. And with COVID, and just vets being busy and everything like that, getting that taken care of has been a slower process than we're generally used to. When one of our cats has an issue, it's generally taken care of relatively right away. I mean, she's not in pain. She's walking around. She's eating. She's begging for food and stuff. So she's good, but she needs to get that done. And just worried about her too. So that's been hard. On that note, though, I do need to start getting ready for my day in the hospital for chemo. Fingers crossed that this time there won't be any issues. I don't know. Hopefully, I talked about it the last time. There was something happening in my. So I have a portacath, they call it. So they have like a line that's connected, so that they don't have to IV me every time, or they don't have to kind of puncture and IV me every time. I have a something called a portacath. It just kind of plugs in. There was some kind of a clot the last time that they weren't able to infuse. They were able to take the blood out. They weren't able to infuse. And I was sent home for 24 hours before they were able to infuse me. Hopefully this isn't going to be the case this time, so that I can get it done today and get disconnected for Sunday, because I think everything was sort of like delayed by a day, I think, as a result of that last time. Oh, the thing I wanted to actually mention was that my ALT values, that's something to do with my liver, were a bit higher than my oncologist was a little concerned about it. So as a result of that, they're not going to go full strength on the chemotherapy this week. He's wondering why. They said that the chemo could definitely do that. I also talked to my GP because because my oncologist, I asked him about whether Joe should be getting a flu shot. And he goes, "Well, you should be getting a flu shot too." And I'm like, "No one told me." So, and he's like, "You should get it like right before chemo." So, Joe and I got in touch with my GP. Asked him, so I have to do apparently need to get this flu shot before chemo. Can you fit us in? And he was great. He fit us in. And just also gave him an update. He's like my family doctor is so fantastic. He's amazing. This whole me being where I am in this moment with all this treatment and everything else is because of him. So he's amazing. Yeah. So we went in to see him to get the flu shots. And I was telling him about the ALT values, and he's like, "Well, it doesn't seem like I could." He goes, "It's good that they're monitoring it, but he's like, your ALT values have been high at other times too." So my understanding my very basic and assumptive understanding of higher ALT values can also be connected to fatty liver. And I have a horrendous sugar tooth. I love sweet things. And for the last little while, I mean, I've kind of not eaten sugar, refined sugared stuff, even though I love it. And every so often I might treat myself, but I used to just, it used to be like a sugar monster. And the other day we went shopping and got sort of like Asian style bread, which is like very, for me, like reminiscent, like, but loaf bread, but it's very reminiscent of the kinds of bread that you would get in Japan, even though it wasn't at a Japanese bakery. It's like these really thick, when you think Texas toast, but there's also like a texture to the bread that's so delicious. But because it's so delicious, I have no doubt that there's like 1,000 grams of carbs in each slice. I have no doubt about it. But I bought I bought these two different loaves, and I had been, and I'm like, but I'm thinking it's like, okay, I'll eat it with peanut butter because it's a protein. I mean, I'm supposed to be eating it with protein. But I've been sort of like just eating it because I would give it to Joe and stuff. But there's only two of us, and there's like a loaf of bread, 2 loaves of bread. In fact, there was 2 different loaves, and I was like, okay, I don't want to waste it, and I'm enjoying it. It's so good, but it's pretty much like having dessert at every time I sat down and had some of that bread, and it's like thick toast like this, like it's not, what I suspect is that me like gorging on that stuff with my ALT, like my maybe my liver tending to kind of ease into the fatty liver when I eat those things, those kinds of things, might have had something to do with those values. So I am going to really be cognizant of like what I'm eating for the next couple of weeks, especially just so I'm not dumping a bunch of sugar into my body, and see if the ALT values come down. And for this round, my everything is being pulled back by 20%. So that's what's happening this time around. So that's it for today. I will sending you love and care through this winter, through this second wave, through if you're watching this on the other side, well, thank goodness, and I hope you're taking care of yourself. And I want to thank you very much for watching and for supporting me. Just, it means everything. Please, please, please take a moment, or just bathe yourself and love and care for yourself. I'm in the process of really, truly living that, and to also have love and care for the folks in your life. And, mention, if you have a little left, please send some my way. And, yeah, take good care out there, and I'll talk to you again real soon.